Hello everyone, welcome back to MTG Ghoul Dude. It is me again, MTG Ghoul Dude. And I want to start a series I'd like to call Digging Up the Past, where we take sets from a long time ago, like Alpha, and just rerun through them and see, what all we had back in the days that would consider to be zombies now. So, I wanted to start probably around Alpha. Alpha was probably the strangest set whenever I started looking into it, but it was released at Origins in July, August timeline in 1993 with a small run of what we now consider a small run of 2.6 million cards. It was the first core set of Magic the Gathering, but it also contained 295 unique black bordered cards and was officially released in August 5th, 1993. I wasn't even born at that time then. So, in Alpha, what are now retyped zombies that we would see now is Skaith zombies. It was 2/2 for 3. No other abilities. Then we see Scavenging Ghoul for 3 and a black. And at the end of each turn, put 1 counter on the ghoul for each other creature that was destroyed without regenerating during this turn. If ghoul dies, you may use a counter to regenerate it. Counters remain until used. Then we have the first printing of Zombie Master, which would actually just become the OG Master. Then we move into Beta. Well, here's the thing with the first couple sets in Magic. The first couple sets, we didn't see much of any other zombie except for those first 3 that were printed in Alpha. So Beta also had these 3 same zombies. But a little bit about Beta. Beta is the second print run of the limited edition, which is also encompassed with Unlimited and Alpha, but is the first core set of Magic. Beta was released on October 4th, 1993. It contains 302 black border cards. It was released shortly after Alpha was sold out. But the limited edition in 1993 was advertised as having more than 300 cards. So, as a third version of each basic land was added in the beta release in order to validate that 300 card claim. So now we're going to move into Unlimited, where we said, like I said, we've seen those same 3. Then we move into Arabian Nights. Arabian Nights was a definitely unique set when it came to Magic. It was actually the very first expansion with its own symbol, the scimitar, which is meant to evoke the Arabian setting of that expansion. Now in Arabian Nights, we only received one new zombie to add to our repertoire, and that was actually Cabal Ghoul. And if you look up the price for this very, very unique card, it is very, very expensive to go with its uniqueness. But at the end of each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Ghoul for each other creature that died during this turn. It was not regenerated. So now we're going to move into Antiquities. A little bit about Antiquities. It was the second Magic the Gathering expansion and was released on March 4th, 1994. It was constructed around the artifact theme and actually told the story of the Brothers' War between Mishra and Urza. And now, we didn't see any new zombies or any reprints in Antiquities. So we're going to go into Revised, and like I said, we also had those same 3 Skaith, Scavenging, and Zombie Master were reprinted in that set. But Revised has its own ticks because it was released in April 1993. It actually introduced the first tap symbol, which was a slightly tilted T instead of a gray circle. So now we're going to move into Legends. Legends was a more iconic set for whenever you first started dealing with, if you wanted to look at your creature types. Legends is the 7th Magic the Gathering set and the 3rd expansion set. It was released in June 1994. It was actually the first set to contain multicolor cards, which we'll actually see one that was retyped later on down the line to become our first natural zombie legend. So first we have Cyclopean Mummy. You will see this guy later. For 1 and a black, if it were to die, just remove it from the game. It's once you get it, it's gone. Hope you enjoyed it while you had it. But it's a 2/1, so it's not as bad. Then we have the first Walking Dead, which is really odd. Just that art is just something else. But it actually has its own regeneration ability. So for 2, you can get a 1/1 that can hold its own. And now we come to our first actual typed legend zombie, Boris Devilboon, which is really strange because he's a 5-drop for a 2/2, and he makes demons. It's really strange. A minor demon token, and it counts as a red and black creature. So odd what they did back then. So now we move into the Dark. The Dark was a really strange set. It was the 4th expansion, and it was released in August 8th, 1994. The Dark actually brought us a few confusing zombie cards, like Frankenstein's Monster, who is actually an X for his casting costs. But he was also a 0/1 base. Yeah, get a load of that art. And then we have the Fallen, which was a restricted mana cost of 1 and triple black. During its controller's upkeep, the Fallen deals 1 damage to each opponent it is previously damaged. So in your 93-94 sets, the Fallen could actually be a decent card, even though it's a 4 mana 2/3. And then that brings us to our first multicolored zombie. It's actually a blue, our first blue zombie as well. It's the Drowned. For 1 and a blue, you get a 1/1, which actually regenerates as well. So our first blue zombie was actually in the Dark. Then we have the first printing of Murk Dwellers, which was when it attacks, Murk Dweller gets +2/+0 if not blocked. Back in those days, most of your buffs were not always square, so you would get a +2, or you could even get a +2 counter on some of those creatures back in those times. And then we were going to roll into Fallen Empires. Now, Fallen Empires was the 5th Magic the Gathering expansion. It was released in November 1994. It was the last set to use the tilted T symbol, and what we now know we see as the tap symbol. So, but we also did not get any new zombie cards in that set. And then we roll into Ice Age. Ice Age was a very unique set because it used the snow mechanic. It was the first set in the Ice Age block. It is the 6th Magic the Gathering expansion, and it was released in early June 1995. It is notable for being the first standalone Magic expansion set, which means it can be played independently of other Magic products. Because of this, it was actually the first expansion to reprint all 5 basic lands, which is a first. The first time I've noticed that, some sets didn't even have all the basic land types in them. Thank goodness we have all those now. But Ice Age brought us some unique zombies, like Gangrenous zombies. For 1 and 2 black, we can get a 2/2, but we can tap it and sacrifice it to deal 1 damage to each creature and each player. So it affects you. It's symmetrical. If you control any snow-covered swamps, though, it deals 2 instead. So back in that time, the snow mechanic was really wasn't that bad of a mechanic as we know it now, because now we know it's rough. And then we have Dreadwright, which was a 3 mana, which was a 3 generic, 2 black, 3/4. That art, that's something. Then we also started we seen Limdul and what he was up to on the plane at that time. Legions of Limdul was a 1 generic, 2 black, 2/3. It had snow-covered swamp walk. Interesting. Then we also move on to Limdul's Cohort, which was for also a 1 and 2 black. Creatures blocking or blocked by it cannot regenerate this turn. It is a 2/3. Looks like stony Easter Island heads actually found their bodies. And now we move into the 4th edition. 4th edition was a very it was definitely a different set because it contained no new cards. It was actually released in April 1995. It had 51 cards removed from the revised edition and 112 from the previous expansions. So it added those 122 from Legends and the Dark. Technically, it has no actual expansion symbol. It was created. So and then we get to see all of our old friends from previous sets like Murk Dwellers and Cyclopean Mummy, Scavenging Ghoul, Skaith Zombies, and then Zombie Master. And then we move on to Chronicles. Chronicles was a set all of its own because it was a parody, if you must. It was released in July of 1995, and it was the first compilation set. It was not considered an official expansion, but an extension of the 4th edition core set because it contained 14 cards from Arabian Nights, 21 from Antiquities, 71 from Legends, and 19 from the Dark. Each of those cards was white bordered, while their cards in their original sets were black bordered. Also, each card carried the expansion symbol from that set it was originally printed in. So if you see a card that you think, oh, it's from Legends, you may need to do some better looking or get some help with figuring out if it's an actual Legends card or not, because it could be a Chronicles card. And now we see who is in Chronicles. Just one, the Fallen. Well, that wraps it up for the very first episode of Digging into the Past. I want to thank you for stopping by, and I want to just have y'all know there's more to come. If you have any suggestions, any questions, leave them down in the comments, like and subscribe. Thank you guys. Have a good day.